Pascua. Happy Passover. And if you've been fasting for other faiths, I hope that's been going really well. I did see a really sweet moment where there was some soccer game and people paused the game to let someone who had been fasting drink some water. So we are getting into it here on Sunday. We have our little nude hoodie on. We have a little pearl moment happening with our favorite updo, and we're gonna get into this Nivea Shimmer Lip Care Balm. It's got a little bit of pink and a little bit of shimmer, just to give our desert lips a little moisture. You know, we've been playing with our setup and our lighting, so I hope you can see me, and let's get into it. I got my hands on some new interesting products. This really amazing looking bronzer from Avani Gregg and Morphe. Look how rich that color looks. There is an amount of shimmer in the product, but it doesn't look like it's going to look crazy. It looks like it's going to make the skin look rich, right? Just to think about the texture and the color that we're trying to achieve when we bronze, right? And then I had gotten these nifty Makeup Revolution London Eye Bright Illuminating Under Eye Concealers in darker shades, which TikTok and all the different social media, it says shake well. They say these are a good dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. So I got the shades Deep Caramel and Warm Chestnut, and maybe we'll give these a whirl to see if they give us that snatch that we are looking for. We got this super cherry red cream blush from Milani, and that looks extremely promising. We're gonna have to use my favorite tool to open up the little, there we go, open up the little piece of tape that keeps the bad people from getting in there. But there's, you know, there's a lot happening on social media about bringing this kind of red right up underneath the eye, 3 dots here, and that's going to give you a very pretty blush glow. What else did we get? It's Easter, and this Kilowatt Foil Freestyle Highlighter Duo, you know, this is not a new product, but I just got my hands on it in the shades Poolside and 7-Day Weekend. Poolside is the blue, 7-Day Weekend is like the shimmer pink. Thought this might be an interesting pop of color in an eyeshadow kind of moment. And you know, there's just lots to play with. Definitely some palettes that we haven't worked with either enough or before. So I thought we'd try this Marc Jacobs Undercover Blurring Coconut Face Primer, since we were it was time to get rid of the Kiehl's. The Kiehl's was giving us texture. This is just our Art Naturals Beauty Art Nature Refresh, Hydrate and Restore Soleil Mineral Water Cooling Spray, just to give us a little bit of fine dampness as we get our primer on. You know, it's important to stay moist in the desert. You can probably hear my neighbors outside having their Easter celebration. They certainly love to party and be in the backyard. Let's pick our weapon of choice today. Again, we're recycling these little glass ramekins that come with a dessert item from Target, and maybe we'll work with our favorite flexible silicone sponge. We've got our favorite little mirror at the ready. You know, but let's just see what we can do to get this done. You know, in as much as we have this Nivea it's kind of a cool toned shimmer pink. We similarly have a kind of shimmery pink, I think this is just the Pink Armor nail, I guess it's some sort of like nail primer, but we just have 2 coats of that on, giving us a nice little pink moment on our nails. You know, our nails are still, believe it or not, growing out that manicure from last Christmas. And this primer is feeling rather tacky, right? It's been a week of, you know, wrapping up things at work. It's been a week of definitely overeating and celebration. It's been, you know, it was important for me to kind of spend a couple of days in bed recovering from all of that, you know, mayhem. And, you know, the last moments at work were kind of a little, there's like a little drama. There were some people who were trying to get other people, I'll say, upset. And, you know, people who are professional are not going to let that happen. No matter how provoked they are, everyone's trying to get to the finish line. It's just that some people feel like they should have more influence over who works at the job than their job title would indicate. And, you know, certainly I've suffered from that. You know, people aren't exactly open about it. There's gossip, there's innuendo, there's bullying. You know, and then the same people want to pretend they know nothing about it, especially when it doesn't work. So you know what it is. So this lip gloss is looking kind of frosty. It's giving me that, you know, early 2000s pop star. You know, there was a moment in time where all the frosted lipsticks, no matter whether they were pink or purple or brown, you know, but I'm not unhappy with how this primer is making my skin look. I feel like I'm looking a little bit refined, even though there's nothing on my face but primer. You know, we've been sleeping well, we've been hydrating. You know, I find that when I'm at work, sometimes I'll end up eating a lot of food, and that doesn't mean that there's always room for water, right? They say that hunger can be thirst, but I think also filling your stomach up with food can make you not thirsty. And I think that is something that I was suffering with, you know, in the aftermath of work, because it's like, I'm definitely a crime of opportunity person. I really like the idea of, you know, treats and snacks that I don't always get my hands on. Let's see, we have this Revolution Super Dewy Skin Tint. I don't know if this is something we want to mess with, because we did get this Pacifica, a light clean foundation in the color Warm Medium, right? This looks like it could use a shake. But we also got this Becca Skin Love in Cashmere. This is a bit pale for us. And hold on. I do like the way this neutral top is looking on me. You know, when you shop for neutrals, as I was doing yesterday at Marshall's, there's sometimes colors that the contrast with your skin isn't the most flattering. So that's part of what you have to think about. Like, is this the right, even with the color of pearls, right? White pearl, yellow pearl, pink pearl, black pearl. What's the pearl that looks the most flattering? Is silver or gold the most flattering on your skin tone? I think you can work with both. I think silver looks sportier, but gold looks more formal. But I thought we might get this slightly pale. It's the color Cashmere. It's not exactly my color, but you know, we want to be thoughtful about not just putting on a full mask of different concealer, contour, foundation, but maybe kind of doing it to as they dovetail together. So just putting a few, like one little squirt, maybe another little tiny squirt here in our dish, right? And then trying to get that on our face in the places that we might want to brighten. That might be a clever way to go. We don't want to do anything crazy heavy, because, you know, we have to go maybe have a coffee and then just go work out. So, you know, thinking about the places on our face where we want some brightness. The forehead, you know, certainly there's a lot of really efficient tutorials on TikTok kind of showing where the brightening places are, right? Under the eye, and blending that out around the nostrils. You know, there's a lot of people mapping out where you should put your brighter complexion products, right? To create lift, center of the nose, and then chin to strengthen. I certainly have a very weak chin. And then thinking about highlighting the contour on the cheeks to come. But, you know, keeping the layers light, keeping a light hand, loving your skin, lifting out of the mouth area, lifting out of the mouth area, and thinking about a bright jaw, and, you know, just looking at yourself, pulling any stray hairs out of the way. You know, we're not at work, so we're not putting all that. You know, I got my hands on some really great alcohol-free Old Spice and some other, you know, gels and different things to kind of make my hair stick together, especially in a cot bun. And, you know, I was really happy with those products, but there's no need to do all that. You know, one of my friends who's from mainland China seems to suggest that, you know, putting a lot of products in your hair and on your skin, you know, when not necessary, may not be the best thing. And I don't know if I agree. I definitely think, you know, washing your hair and washing your skin is important. This product has given us, in combination with that primer, a lot of texture. And I wonder if we've gone and made a mistake putting a primer in combination with, you know, they say that your products, one should have water-based on water-based. I wonder if perhaps this might be water-based and this might be silicone-based, but there aren't any ingredients on either of these products. But, you know, I'm seeing quite a bit of texture on my face, so I don't know. It doesn't look terrible at a distance, but I can definitely see it on my face. It kind of makes me want to take it off, but, you know, if I were at work, I'd have to rock with it anyway. I wonder if it's the primer or if it's this Cashmere Skin Love product, right? This is a weightless blur foundation. Is it that I've doubled up blur foundations? Unclear. But we still have some in our dish. Dare we continue putting on the rest of it? Let's try it, right? It's the weekend. It's self-care Sunday. And it's a time, if things are going to go wrong, we'd rather have it happen here at the house than, you know, when we're actually somewhere trying to get business done, you know. And this is a good moment where you can actually look at your skin in the mirror. Certainly being in the sun has given me more freckles than less. I was actually quite successful with my fake freckles. I was playing a hospital patient and I was delighted with, I finally got the right formula together to do fake freckles. And, you know, the only thing I think that I can improve on is having a variety of sizes and using not just the applicator, but, you know, the sort of double end of a bobby pin, and maybe, you know, you want big and small ones. You know, one person was immediately critical, saying, well, my mom has freckles and she doesn't have freckles anywhere but her cheeks. But I mean, obviously we've all seen people with freckles, and some people have more of them on their forehead and chin, and I think I put like one on my upper lip and maybe a couple on my forehead, and I was surprised by the you know, not only bold enough to be critical, but, you know, just sort of being extremely critical. You know, but I think that that critical person had a conversation with another person. They were kind of pretending to be at odds, but I think they talked, because then the critical person came back and was like, oh, they're so nice. And it was like, I thought you thought they didn't look realistic. Anyway, you know, we all have to deal with people in the workplace, and it can be challenging, you know, but we always want to be polite. You know, you just have to act like you are a stewardess, right? Just be patient with people and smile. You don't have to, you know, express your real feelings. You just have to keep it moving and keep your paychecks flowing. You don't have to be, this is the deep caramel shade of this Makeup Revolution London Eye Bright Illuminating Under Eye Concealer with Vitamin C. So a lot of good for you ingredients, whether it is this primer that has coconut in it, right? Made in Italy, or this Becca. I think the Becca company either is or has gone out of business or bankruptcy, or is that the same thing? I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. Made in the USA. This might be a bit pale for our complexion, but it certainly has given us the lift that we would be looking for. Now, if we're going to get this product onto our face, should we use a brush? And I've been trying to use these rather gimmicky, they had a name. I don't remember what the name was, but if we dip this into our dish of water that we always keep at the ready, right? We always rock with a shallow dish of water. We always have a damp beauty sponge around to either bring skin-like texture or to remove things that go wrong. And we have our tiny dish to dispense product in. But I forget what these brushes were called. If you know, feel free to make a comment about what that is. So this is one of those wand dispensers that are so troublesome, right? Do you twist the bottom to get it to come out? I suppose so, right? I have had occasion to have wands of this nature get contaminated. So twisting and holding it upside down. So hopefully gravity will assist us. Is that enough? Let's push it into our dish. Nothing. Let's do it again. How aggressive do we have to be to make the medicine come down? That is a very good question. I wonder if there's anything else that one has to do to dispense the goods. Oh, it's starting to come out just a little teeny bit. So I think we're on the right track. But yeah, how is your Easter? How is your weekend? I was delighted to see an Easter egg hunt. Oh, good. Look at that. You squish it down and it gives you a nice fat amount of product. And I think that's going to be plenty. It's a very beautiful color. If we use our brush just to wipe it off the side of the applicator, right? And then put the lid back on. You know, as I kind of get my feet wet in this world of makeup, you know, if I can experiment with a cheaper product before, you know, before doing too much, before spending too much, then I want to do that. But yeah, yesterday I was delighted to find that there was an Easter egg hunt happening in the kind of community garden senior center complex. And, you know, it's been such a long road trying to get, you know, kind of like social justice, especially for seniors who have to navigate sidewalks made of hard concrete, right? If you're a senior, and some of them, you know, really have issues with walking, but when people who are choosing, right, it's different if people are legitimately homeless. It's just that some of the people dwelling on the sidewalk are there, as I've said, because they are in business, right? They can't conduct the same kind of illegal business in a residence. And most of them, I think the sheriff discovered that 65% of the people living on Venice Beach and on the boardwalk, in fact, have housing. It's not that they're homeless. They are choosing to be out on the beach because they can be out all night, making a ruckus, banging on a bongo, swinging a pipe. There is mental illness, there is legitimate homelessness, there is a housing crisis, no doubt, but you know, some very clever criminals who I observe to traffic in stolen mail and stolen goods are presenting as homeless because that's the cover. How else can you get access to, you know, prime real estate from which you can, you know, basically fence stolen goods? Allegedly. This is what I observe, you know, in my outings, you know, in and out, up and down the sidewalk, you know, whether it's to the churches that provide free food and other services to homeless people and families. But, you know, honestly, just taking this lighter shade, right? We do have a darker shade, but this is the dark caramel, right? Dark caramel as opposed to warm chestnut. Where did I put it? Here it is. Deep caramel, and just getting that into the contour places. You know, it's not quite what you would think it is, but it's a very clever way to disguise organized crime, right? Because it's the same manufactured sign that lets me track the person that I think is the gang leader, where it says anything helps, and it has little drawings, and you know, there isn't any serious attempt to actually collect funds from people. What there is, you know, very large, healthy, man-sized poops in our community garden to try to intimidate us from gardening. And then there's also, I'm not sure if this is symmetrical, then there's also, you know, bags from Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and all kinds of, you know, expensive and plentiful foodstuffs, which is fine if you're, you know, choosing to feed yourself that way, but it's not quite the same thing that you go through when you are temporarily homeless, displaced from a home, when you are, you know, living in your car and trying to, you know, still go to work, or dealing with a mental health crisis, or even addiction. I have a lot of sympathy for anyone in those positions, but that's not what this is. We are seeing, you know, there's off-duty cops working in the marshals. There's armed guards in our grocery stores because people sail in and are very strategic about stealing. It's not even items for their own personal use. You don't need 15 makeup palettes from Target, and you don't need, you know, those sort of like large wireless speakers. But those are very premium items to sell, or not really sell, but to barter in exchange for meth. And that's a lot of the kind of crime traffic that we see in Hollywood, right? That it's not, they'll steal your package, but if it's something like a dress or, you know, a, you know, dinner napkins, they're going to toss it on the side of the street. How do I know? Because when we head out of the house and we see this stuff, it's, you know, been discarded, and it's not the person who ordered the package who's discarding it. I was so upset yesterday. I ran into one of the nicest mailmen at the post office. You have to get your mail at the post office because you can't get it at home, because people will, you know, run off. They'll take a screwdriver, open up all the mailboxes, and then just run off with all the mail. So, you know, nice man, very cordial. He's always, you know, kind of talked openly about what kinds of policies are affecting postal workers and all of that. A lot of them are veterans. But he was saying that someone cracked his skull open with a 2x4 trying to steal the mail. And in particular, you know, there are like entitlement checks, like for Social Security. A lot of retired older people get them, and at a certain time of the month, the first of the month, that thieves are being very strategic about being certain that they're going to get their hands on those checks and then take them to check cashing places with false identification to cash those checks. So you know, this is an organized kind of crime. And, you know, just sort of living and working in Hollywood, you kind of like see what's going on, you know, because the dealers are our neighbors, and then the drug addicts are our neighbors as well. But in the meantime, you know, older people who need to get up and down the street to get their social security checks or to go to the post office or the grocery store, they can't because they can't get down the road because people have overtaken the sidewalks. Anyway, this is our makeup. This is how it's looking. Our sort of cheek, this area, and then the chin sculpt have gotten a little bit, shall we say, busy. But I'm not disliking the way that this color looks on my skin. The nose contour, we have gotten some very significant lines and some very straight lines. It feels like something where I would like to take my silicone sponge, not a beauty sponge. I don't want to take off product. I just want to move it around if I can, right? If I can use gentle pressure to lift that cheek contour, right? And maybe make it a little bit less aggressive here and there, right? Make sure that we're blending it at the jawline. And it really does make a huge difference when you're overeating the way that I have been overeating. Part of it's inflammation from like junk food, you know, Blue Bunny, strawberry shortcake, ice cream on a stick, so delicious, so much artificial color, so much fun to eat, so much fun to see your friends at work eating or liking the same thing that you like. Some people were eating the SpongeBob, I think it's like fruit ice, I don't think it's like ice cream. But you know, it was just a lot of fun and, you know, good vibes. You know, but unfortunately I'm working with some people who, you know, time and again have enjoyed, shall we say, making up things and then calling it a joke, right? There were some, and I've worked with people like this before. They like to shout out loud that everyone's wrapped, or that everyone's wrapped but two people, or everyone's going home but you. And then they sit there and they chuckle all about it, but that's just, you know, that you make a mental note that that's what they like to do, so that in the future, if it's not a crew person telling you that you kind of take it with a grain of salt, right? Why is that funny? I don't know. But, you know, certainly one of them got in my face trying to say that I don't have a sense of humor. Well, I'm sorry. There have been some very serious things going on at work that have distracted me from my ability to flatter you by laughing at your attempted humor. I dare say I'm a little bit more of an authority on what's funny than these folks, but you know, whatever. I'm not gonna be that rude. But what I will say is that, you know, pattern of behavior, right? There was a moment where some, shall we say, repair activity was happening in a building, and so then some of the same people said, "Oh, it's a possible dangerous person," right? I'm trying to obscure exactly what the claim was, and that we needed to find shelter and all of that, and that turned out to be a false alarm. And one wonders if that was legitimate or if it was another crying wolf situation to try to provoke panic, right? When I go back to you know, having a dead rat placed on my car hood, this happened several months ago, and it was followed up, same placement of coffee on my windshield, same place of other kind of like gooey liquids on my windshield, and then on a rainy night my largest windshield wiper was broken. Like, right, you just bend it in the middle so that when you turn on the windshield wipers they don't work, right? So I had to clear the windshield with my hand, and it was a very dangerous situation, but of course I survived. But you know, you tuck that away in your mind when some of the same people or suspect people make claims, the manipulation, the mind games, trying to sort of trigger some response in you. I do wonder if, because I was telling a funny story about there being a flying cockroach that I discovered one night at 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to open my door and get the hairspray out, and I was screaming the whole time. And because I told that story, I wonder if the same, whoever the perpetrators are, who very much still were at work with me, I never discovered who it was, although I have suspicions, if they thought that I would just fall apart if there was a dead rat. Well, the rat's dead. It's not the same as like a unpredictable cockroach running around. It's not like I'm a baby, but I wonder, you kind of talk freely in front of people, and you have to wonder what it is that how their minds process that information. Now, if this Becca Skin Love Weightless Blur Foundation sheared out on my face and creating all this texture in combination with a rather subtle but yet significant contour from our friends at Makeup Revolution London, right? If these two products together have gotten us into this place, is there room to go over this with other foundation, right? Are we playing a dangerous game, combining primer, then blurring foundation, and then this very delicious and very good looking kind of concealer type wand? I am very curious to see what the Charlotte Tilbury looks like. Do we do more? Do we do more to brighten the under eye? Do we do more to get rid of texture on the face? Do we add more foundation of the same sort? Or do we add, let's change gears and go into some sort of eyeshadow palette. This is an exciting palette that we got. Makeup Revolution London. Again, look at this graphic cover. I don't think I played with this before, but it does look really cool next to my neutral colored top. But look at this. Not only the excitement of the graphics on the outside, but look how exciting the inside is, right? There's even kind of like tiger stripe texture to the inside colors. Do we need to do more to prime our lids? But this is a beautiful, beautiful palette that kind of gets into some oranges and reds and some shimmers that are unexpected. I'm very excited, right? I have a backlog of palettes that I would like to explore. So from here, remembering that we have this Eco Tools, very clever silicone ended tool, right? This is the eye soother, and then this is the flat applicator. So if we get into our white NYX eyeshadow base, right? Find our little mirror that needs to be cleaned, dot some of this on each lid, remembering that we did go into our crease with some of the caramel concealer, right? And then we're going over it with white. But let's see how much we can kind of spread this eyeshadow base with the silicone applicator. Again, this is experiment. We're not saying we're getting it exactly right. Not from the amount of texture we're seeing on our skin, but also not from the, order in which we're doing our product distribution on our skin, but we're getting it on and we're seeing what the different formulas do, what the paler eyeshadow base allows us to do with our palette. I hope you can hear the church bells outside, right? It's a really beautiful day, beautiful weather. It's amazing to be in Southern California socially distanced, you know, able to avoid some of the kind of, you know, mayhem and tragedy of the big city if you choose. Certainly there's crime and mental illness and what do you call it? Strife and struggle outside. Maybe now we should switch to our finger just to get an even application of this on both of our lids. But it's giving us, you know, pale uniformity. But, you know, Easter is a moment where we can reset, think about rebirth, think about, you know, public safety. It was fun to see the kids do their Easter egg hunt. They're just like babies. And so all they did was put the eggs in the grass. There was no real hiding, but the kids were like squealing, you know, and just delighted to be successful at hunting the eggs, you know, that were just really right there in their path. So funny. But, you know, such a great use for that, you know, public space instead of having it, you know, be overtaken by elements that are less child friendly, right? It's just been frustrating to see. Now this is what our eye base is looking like, and now, uh-oh, our mirror has lost its charge. We've abused it so. I hope this is enough light for you to see me. We're shooting during the day, which is not always the case. But, you know, it was great to see, and this is a great palette because look, it's got its own mirror. Now we're cooking with gas, even if we don't have enough light. And it's a shame because this mirror is plugged in. It just, you know, it just doesn't have enough juice to keep going. Let me see if I can plug in this other light and see if we can get any joy from that. But yeah, I was so pleased to see that our kind of like community space kind of took a turn for the better yesterday. So looking at this palette and not wanting to be boring because it's Easter, looking at our face with that second augmented light, I'm liking what this contour is looking like. You know, we're definitely contoured. We could use a little bit more brightening under the eye, but I think we can do our eyeshadow first and, you know, make it do what it do. But it was great. It was great to see. It was great to kind of be outside with young families and people from the city council and from the city government and, you know, kind of see people come together in a positive way. Let's see, some sort of transition color for the crease. A hooded eye person builds the crease above the natural crease because there is a fold that will hide a bit of the color. You know, what shimmer shade are we going for? I'm really attracted to this bright peach color. You know, maybe something like this would be a good bright inner lid color. So if we're going here and here, what kind of transition shade that's not boring could we do? Should we go for one of these brighter brighter pinks or something like an orange? You know, let's work with the orange just for giggles. Let's see what we can do with that. We're just taking this very random cheap brush and patting it